Queen Lisa of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the crystalline balcony of her palace, her iridescent scales catching the light of 3 setting suns. Her people were dying. The Void Hunters had returned after 1,000 years of silence, their dark ships consuming entire star systems like locusts devouring grain. "My queen," her advisor whispered, his voice trembling with fear. "The outer colonies have fallen. Kepler 7 is gone. Nothing remains but empty space." Lisa's forearms clenched into fists. Her empire, once spanning 100 worlds, was being systematically erased. The Void Hunters were an ancient evil that fed on stellar energy itself, leaving behind barren husks of dead systems. Her military commanders had thrown everything at them: antimatter torpedoes, quantum disruptors, even their planet-killer weapons. Nothing worked. "Where is James?" she asked. "In the garden, my queen. He's tending to his flowers again." Several of her courtiers exchanged glances. They had never understood why their mighty queen had chosen to marry a human, a species, barely 2 centuries into space travel. James appeared so ordinary, so fragile compared to the Zephyrians' naturally armored bodies and enhanced strength. He stood only 6 feet tall, possessed just 2 arms, and seemed more interested in cultivating earth plants than matters of galactic importance. Lisa remembered the day she first met him at the Interstellar Diplomatic Summit. While other ambassadors postured and made grand speeches, James had quietly approached her during a break, offering her a small yellow flower. "It's called a sunflower," he had said with that gentle smile of his. "On my world, we believe they bring hope." That simple gesture had captivated her more than any display of military might ever could. Now, 3 years into their marriage, her people questioned her choice. They whispered that she had let emotion cloud her judgment, that she should have chosen a warrior from one of the other powerful species. As the Void Hunters drew closer to their home system, those whispers grew louder. Lisa found James exactly where her advisor had said, kneeling among his carefully cultivated garden, his hands deep in rich soil. Earth vegetables grew alongside exotic Zephyrian luminous fruits, creating a harmony that shouldn't have been possible. "James," she said softly, "we need to evacuate. The Void Hunters will be here within hours." He looked up at her with those warm brown eyes that had first stolen her heart. "No, Lisa, we're not running anymore." "But the military reports say—" "I know what the reports say." James stood, brushing dirt from his hands. "I've been listening to the tactical briefings. Your people have been fighting them the wrong way." Lisa's secondary arms twitched in frustration. "James, I love you, but this isn't the time for human optimism. These creatures have destroyed entire civilizations. They're not some garden pest you can handle with the right technique." James walked to a small shed at the garden's edge and began pulling out what looked like farming equipment. "Lisa, do you know what my job was before I became a diplomat?" She realized with growing embarrassment that she didn't. You said you worked with growing things." "I was a terraforming engineer. Specifically, I specialized in hostile environment reclamation." He hefted a device that looked suspiciously like a modified atmospheric processor. "Do you know what we learned when we tried to terraform Mars?" "James, what does this have to do with—" "Life finds a way," he interrupted gently. "But more importantly, life changes everything around it. The Void Hunters feed on stellar energy, right? They consume the electromagnetic radiation that stars produce." Lisa nodded, confused about where this was leading. "They're like a plague of locusts." "But what do you do with locusts?" "You don't fight them directly. You change their environment, you make it unsuitable for them." James activated the device, and Lisa felt a strange vibration in the air. "I've been preparing for this since the attacks began. This isn't just a terraforming unit, it's something new." Across the garden, his plants began to glow with an inner light. "James, what did you do?" "I crossbred earth plants with Zephyrian energy flora, then modified them at the genetic level. These plants don't just photosynthesize light, they absorb and convert stellar radiation into a specific frequency that's toxic to Void Hunter biology." Lisa stared in amazement as the glow spread from plant to plant, then beyond the garden, walls. Throughout the city, every green space began to pulse with the same ethereal light. I've been secretly seeding these modified plants on every world in your empire for the past 2 years. Every park, every agricultural center, every terraformed colony. They've been dormant, waiting for the right trigger signal. In space above them, the first Void Hunter ships dropped out of hyperspace, their massive forms blotting out stars. But as they approached the planet, something unprecedented happened. The ships began to shudder and retreat. The entire electromagnetic spectrum around your worlds has changed, James explained, watching the alien fleet falter. Instead of the stellar energy they feed on, they're encountering something that weakens them, makes them sick. It's like trying to eat poison. Lisa watched in stunned silence as the seemingly invincible Void Hunter fleet turned and fled, their ships trailing dark energy like blood from wounded animals. "You did this," she whispered. "You saved us all." James took her hand, his human finger so small compared to hers. "Humans aren't the strongest or the fastest or the most technologically advanced, but we're stubborn and we adapt. We change our environment instead of letting it change us." As reports flooded in from across the Empire, Void Hunter fleets, retreating from every world, their ancient terror finally broken, Lisa understood why she had fallen in love with this quiet human gardener. "Your people called you weak," she said. James smiled, that same gentle expression he'd worn when offering her a sunflower years ago. Sometimes the greatest strength looks like tending a garden. In the days that followed, as the galaxy celebrated humanity's unexpected solution to an ancient threat, Lisa would often find James back in his garden, hands in the soil, nurturing life in the space between stars. And she finally understood that she hadn't married a simple gardener at all. She had married someone who could change the universe one seed at a time.